What is up, friends? I was getting ready to walk Rio just now, and he's not done with his nap. So I have an extra moment to make a video for you, and I wanted to talk about thoracic extension. Thoracic extension is a challenging strength to develop. It takes body awareness and also body control to create meaningful extension at our thoracic spine. I'm going to define and demonstrate what that looks like on my body, in my body, for you, but I'm just making this point to say it is sort of like your first line of attack against postural deformity in the classic hunchback, exaggerated kyphotic curve that we see, desk posture, driving posture, etc. So like I said, I was changing to walk my dog. So I've got these pants on because it's raining outside. I got two pairs of pants on, and they happen to come up conveniently high-waisted. And I'm going to use that as a prop in this video because the rough approximate waistline of these pants is roughly where the hinge point would be. It's a little below it. If I pull them up a little extra high, it's a little below, but there you go. That's about the hinge between my upper back and my lower back, or my thoracic spine, where my last rib, my very last rib, attaches to my spine about there. And that's helping me define my thoracic spine, my thorax from my abdomen. My low back, my lumbar spine, and all the way down into my tailbone, my sacral spine, is below that. Now, that particular junction where my pant line is indicating for you is therefore the transition point between the curvature directions. We don't all have a lot of magnitude of curvature in our spine. Some of us have more than others. Some of us should have more than others, but we've flattened it out. And some of us have more than we should because we've collapsed and rounded, especially in our low back. But also, guess what? The excess rounding at my upper back is complemented by diminished curve at my low back. Both are damaging to my spine and will absolutely have consequences. So today we're not going to focus on the low back. Oh gosh, if you're in my class right now, you know I am. You're like, really? Because all class long, all our floor work right now is Stuart McGill inspired lumbar curve preserving, spine stabilizing work for the low back. Multifida activation, preserving the lumbar curve because it is critical. So I'm going to put that aside. You can tell I'm struggling, but I'm going to put that aside and I'm going to focus on your upper back because this is also really important, and I see this as being sort of subtle, and I don't want people to miss this benefit in my class or in life if you have the opportunity to practice, other people's classes, other activities you do, etc. So thinking again about the upper back, focus on the seam of my pants up, so like the waistline up. Everything that's going on below the natural waist, below my pant line, is not part of this party today. So thinking of this is my upper back. All right, can you see my hand? It's curving that way. I'm facing that way. Now, I don't have quite that much curve in my thoracic spine, but I want you to see this as the visual. So this apex of that curve is like right between my shoulder blades. Let me demonstrate making more flexion. This would be my thoracic spine. The natural direction of the curve is kyphotic, and I'm going to put extra flex on that curve. Here's extra flex. All right, again, you're not paying attention to the low back. I could make more round shape with my full global spine, but I'm isolating the rib cage for this exercise. So I'm going to give normal thoracic curve, extra flex. Flex it, which is, in this instance, forward. So here I am. It's hard for me to talk to you in this position, and again, forget I have arms. They're just along for the ride. My shoulder blades naturally want to glide forward on my ribs so that they keep nice and stable, but really this is the spine is what I care about, and you're thinking about the apex of that curvature right there. All right? So, hang out. Now, I'm coming into that position intentionally. I'm not someone who is stuck there because of gravity and my compressed desking driving posture. No. Okay, so I'm showing you this for demonstration. And there is nothing wrong with bringing your spine there intentionally. We just don't want to get stuck there. Okay, so now let's talk about extension, because this is what's really key, especially if you are kind of stuck here. if you want to work on your posture and you are kind of stuck here, one of the tendencies you might have is to rather, let me show you my hand first. Here's what I want. You see the curve. I want extension of the curve. Here's my waistline where that pant line is. I want to go meaningfully from flexion, isolating my thoracic spine, to rough extension. And my hand, sort of helpfully, is a useful, it's an analogy, right? I have bones that are more rigid. It doesn't move the way my spine does really, but notice I can't really get much curve that direction, right? If I were to force my fingers back, like, you know, maybe I should be able to, but a lot of that curve would be at the knuckles, right? And it wouldn't really be through the fingers, right? But that's my hand in extension. I am actively pulling back on those fingers, best belief, and that's about as high as I get. Flexion, oh, I got lots of flexion in these joints, or at least for what we're simulating here. I can go that way, I can make a fist, I got a lot of range. This direction, it is more limited, and please don't make this a conversation about my mobility of my hands. That's not really the point, but just to show I'm more limited in this direction. Your thoracic spine is similar in that you can create, it is biased towards demonstrable flexion. My back looks round to the midline, roundish, right? Round relative. When I bring it into extension, it's not going to be round, but it's not going to create a lot. Here's me doing my low back. Lots of concavity. You can't really see because I'm on fancy pants, but I can curve that direction a lot. Can't do that at my thoracic spine. That doesn't mean I am not meaningfully extending it. Those muscles have to work very hard. I always use this sort of scaffolding inchworm visual because I want you to think you are pulling up incrementally. Incrementally. You're not hinging. So let me show what we don't want and what we do. First, go back to my hand. You want to unfurl that spine as meaningfully as you can. Imagine each one of these as a vertebra. You want each vertebra to contribute to the extension. The same way they gave you a nice, as smooth as possible curve forward, you want them to give you as nice and even load shared extension. Okay? Even if it doesn't look dramatic. The drama in the visual is going to come from other parts of your back and your neck and your shoulders, right? Other things are going to accessorize the movement, but don't bypass the work of the extensor muscles of your upper back. And here's what I mean by that. So it's very easy to think extension of my upper back means here's my neutral, here's my actual posture. If I can remember what it feels like now, having talked about it. Here's my natural posture. Here's flexion, right at the upper back, not at the mid back. Solar plexus. I folded this silly sports bra so that you can see. There's my solar plexus, and that's my apex of the rounded flexion of my upper back. Now, if I just pull my upper body from flexion, and I hinge at that point, it's hard for me to do because it's terrible. Because I practice to not do it. But here's flexion, and here's me just hinging at that spot. Do you see how can you see that? The arms make it really easier to do this badly. They also help me do it better, but not from this position. So doing this less optimally, I'm just bringing my upper back in relative curve forward behind me. It unfurls a little, but not very meaningfully. And the activation of the muscles, which is what's important, the activation, not the position, the activation of the muscles is here. I feel it low in my back. Cranking, cranking, cranking on the whole system. Cranking on the whole system. It ends up getting a little bit deformed and it extends a little bit, but not with the muscles that are designed to help extend it. Or it's a lot of the same muscles, but not the muscles activated at the placement on your back where you need them. Okay, right? It's coming from low. It's anchoring from the lever arm of those muscles is low, and it's punishing to my back in this instance, and it's just creating that hinge, the hinge at the low back, right? Do you see that? Hinging at the low back. Okay. I'm feeling some extension, not what I want. Let's go for perfection, or let's aim, like I said, let's aim for the perfection. So instead, I'm going to bring myself into flexion. I'm using the arms or not. I'm going to roll up, imagining that segmental right here. Massive activation above the pant line, right here. I'm starting the activation here, not low. Feel that as low as you can. Keep your abs on so nothing else moves. Squeeze, and as quietly and patiently, I'm settling my shoulders down. I'm bringing it, here's about as flat as I can get. See my arms? I want you to see from the front. It looks like I'm raising my shoulders. I'm trying to do nothing with my shoulders. They're along for the ride. This is work, and I'm feeling it between, on either side of my spine, and I'm trying to keep it in my lumbar spine. My abs are on, like I said, so that I can't just hinge here. So I'm using my abs to control that, and I'm using a lot of discipline to not hurry through this challenge. Up, up, up. Can I start to bring that point of my solar plexus slightly up? Not back there. Not back there. Just slightly up while keeping this and the hinge point quiet. Up, up, up. That's about, oh, I can get a little more. Now my neck is gone along for the ride as well, so it's hard to do without letting my head go. But there's a little more I can get out of it. A little more I can get out of it. That is super awkward to walk around with, but that's my as pure as I can give thoracic extension with a little bit of cervical. I could go further with my chin and neck. I'm just letting it not hold me back. So there is my thoracic extension. It's not very curved. It's more like my fingers. It's quite vertical, but I'm not rounded. Hang out. Make it a little bit juicier. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Don't let your low back move. Make this disciplined. Now, once you've experienced that, radiate. Just put more muscularity in it. More muscularity. Relax the shoulders now. More muscularity. Do you feel even pull? Right? These are the muscles on the sides of my spine. Do you feel, and now we're using the hands in a different visual. The hands are the muscles on the sides of my spine. Do you feel them in your upper back or just down here? I want you to try to relax these and use focus to get them higher and higher and higher. And I want you to feel them radiating pull, extension force in your rib cage, all over your rib cage. Feel wherever you can experience that. If you'd like to put your hands over your head, it is going to change the nature of the movement. What we're going to do is we're going to invite the rest of our spine to come on this extension ride with us, because extension is so valuable. But if you don't extend your thoracic spine and you just go through the motions at your cervical spine and your low back, you're missing this critical and most challenging and most useful, if you're doing it for your posture, part of the exercise. Okay? So let's add arms. I'm not letting my low back go yet. If I can, I'm also going to let my low back go, but it's not going to come from this one hinge. I'm going to keep it as smooth as I can. So just as every vertebra of my thoracic spine contributed to the extension, every vertebra of my lumbar spine is going to contribute to the extension. I am not going to hinge from the bottom, right? I'm not going to hinge from this point down the same way I didn't want to hinge from this point up. So I don't just, this is just bowing in the middle, bowing in the middle. I'm going to lengthen, keeping the upper back, go, go, go. Feel those muscles of your upper back. Crawl, like crawl up this wall, crawl, lengthen. I don't know why I use that, but I just feel like keep the effort there. And then ski slope the low back. Smooth banana plank or banana shape. Up with the arms if you want. When you bring your arms up, it's going to tempt you to hinge harder there. It is loading the system. It makes it harder. So no arms. Just as smooth as you can. Can you give me more? Every time you want more curve, you think, can I distribute it more evenly? No hinge points. No one vertebral junction is taking any more heat than the other, and you're especially aware of that at your mid-back. Look at how subtle it is. It's so unimpressive. But you're feeling, hopefully, lots of muscular activation. Lots of muscular activation without compensation in your back. Up with the arms, yes, all day. Feels amazing. Reach, reach, reach. My toes are driving down. I'm engaging short foot. I'm lengthening. I am not hinging. I am not collapsing. I'm super lifted. The abs and the muscles in the front of my body feel tension. They're not just collapsing open and because I'm yanking in the back. There's massive tension here. Imagine the stretch. There's stretch over my chest. There's stretch up into my fingers. No collapse. Up, 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 and if you want to go further forward so that you can also counterbalance and go further into extension, I don't know if you can see me very well, but it feels amazing, and it is work. Not a lot of visual payoff in it. It doesn't look like a flashy yoga, cobra pose, sorry yoga. It doesn't look like anything flashy, but wow, my goodness, do it. Try it. Get those muscles to really fire. And if you don't feel like a warrior when you're done, okay, I want you to feel those muscles really pulling you open in your collarbone, really coming to life. Notice if you felt nerve pain, pinching. You might not be sufficiently decompressed. You might not have the strength and muscle control and motor control to do this today. But that's what I want you to practice towards. And I want to be sure that as you're practicing towards it, you're not compromising at something that will cause a detour in your progress. A detour in your progress is when you think you're doing something well or for best benefit, and it turns out you're doing it with a bad habit that you have to call back from. So the easiest, most tempting bad habit of working on your posture here is hinging at the low back, not meaningfully strengthening the upper back muscles, keeping yourself in this compression state, which feels terrible to even show you after I just gave my body this beautiful antidote for it. So, but if this is where you're at and you want to be up tall, warrior status, then you want to go not okay? That's hinging. You want unfurl as meaningfully and as muscularly as you want. And again, it's not really that demonstrative on camera. It's not about how it looks. And I have a lot of curvature in my spine. So for me, it might even actually look more demonstrative than it will in your body. But I don't want you to do this with a mirror. And there's lots of ways to sort of work towards this, like on the lying face down and like starting with just a slight lift. That's the way I coach it. But if you're doing something standing, this is the way to approach it. If you have the opportunity to practice it when you're walking around, when you're sitting, that's where it's going to come from. Upper back, limit it there. Find that body control, especially if you are someone whose posture has not deformed a lot, right? Start now before those muscles are like completely not answering your call. Start with them and don't let up. When you've got this, you're like, oh, this is good, this is feeling empowering, I'm using my back muscles. Don't stop there. That could be the bad habit that derails your meaningful progress. Work towards the harder part, and if you feel like you're blindly stepping through in the dark and you're not getting good activation, just listen to what doesn't hurt, no nerve pain, no compression, etc., and explore bringing those muscles to life. I make videos about posture, I make videos about balance, and I am surprised I haven't come on to make this today, till today. Hopefully this is useful. Hopefully my dog wakes up from his nap soon because I'm ready to walk. Talk to you guys like a warrior. We're going to walk like warriors through the park, right? You guys have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you for joining me for this video.